Hey guys, Harry here, and I'm back with another bricklaying vlog. So today, I'm recording this on a Saturday, so if anyone's watching, I hope you've had a good weekend, because I'll probably release this video on a Sunday. Before I start, if you enjoy the videos, I'd please ask you to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to see bi-daily episodes. I'm bricklaying 5 days a week. I've been doing it 11 years. I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. If you want to see what sort of work I undertake on a daily basis when it comes to working self-employed on building sites, doing a plethora of different tasks, check me out. I do a lot of boundary walls, garages, a lot of sort of smaller jobs, but I expect to see some more footage on housing and little tips when doing remedials. I'm going to start bringing that series to the channel. Now I've got the Headcam. The only reason I haven't done it sooner is due to only just getting this. If you notice the video's quality increase in today's video, it's because I was recording in 4K at 30 FPS. I'll probably not continue to record in 4K depending on how this video uploads. Editing it was no problem, but when it comes to recording, I can only record probably a max of, I'd say, probably a max of an hour and a half worth of footage. So normally the video's around 30 to 40 minutes now, so it won't be too much of an issue if I just select when I'm recording. But I prefer to record for a little bit longer, and I've got the setting of 1080p and 1080p at 60 FPS set now, and I find that's a bit of a happy medium. The footage looks a bit smoother, so until I upgrade my action cam at some point, I think I'll just continue recording in 1080p. Unless this looks really good on the TV when I check this out on YouTube, I'll probably still carry on recording at 1080p. Today's video, I'm just finishing off these party walls up to height to take a spandrel panel on top when the roof goes on. These years ago used to be built as traditional big party wall cut-ups. I did one on another site which wasn't Redrow, and they were pretty cool. Little, just a nice job in general, and I could see why years ago people used to like doing them. I'm a fan of cut-ups, to be honest. I know a lot of bricklayers hate them. For various reasons. Sometimes it can be, years ago they used to, the prices weren't very good for cut-ups. You never really made any money on them. Or years ago, you used to have to do all your cuts with still saw. Some firms didn't provide cuts. But nowadays it's almost mandatory to, if anyone's doing cut-ups and they require cut bricks, a lot of them have to be provided now, because it's just firms won't get gangs and won't get bricklayers to do them if they didn't provide the cuts. I know certain house types for certain housing firms that have awkward little fucking shitty cut-ups on, and one firm that comes to mind, Gleeson. I live in a Gleeson house, and I look around the estate and they have silly little cut-ups on the top, and and even with today's prices, I don't think you'll be earning much money doing those. So that's probably why people don't like doing them. But these days, especially on some of the more premium house types that have cut-ups on, as long as they don't have dental work or dog toothing or anything fancy on them, anything sort of beyond oversailing courses, they're doable, and you can make good money on cut-ups. I've never really I've only undertook a cut-up once on my own, about a year or two ago, and I was a bit less experienced doing them. I think it was the first time I did an oversailing cut-up, and since then I've done quite a few on my own. But if I undertook one now, it'd be a lot easier. I've got a lot better, faster methods for doing them. That's an idea for anyone wondering why people don't like them. So, I was just finishing this off. This is a pair of a 4-plot. This is a plot another gang did, and I'm just finishing these 3 course on one full party wall and then half a party wall in between the two. In between the separating separating houses, where another gang was on that side. So, you know, I finished this by about 12:30. I had to go for a snap because I ran out of gobbo, but I would have finished at 12:30 if I'd have carried on. And then I had a couple of apprentices who were working with the gang across from me. They work for the house builder. They're not, you know, they're not self-employed or anything. They're doing their apprenticeship, and they helped me out a little bit, so that was awesome. They loaded out a good 120, 30 blocks for me. So it saved me a lot of lifting, you know, saved me a lot of time as well. And at the end, they helped me put the wall plate on as well, so that was really helpful. So shout out to those guys, Ethan and Kane, you know who you are. And I will, and then in this video, I'll just dive into a couple of topics, really, because it's a bit boring watching me lay blocks. I haven't really got many tips for laying heavies, other than try lay a Solcon instead. But yeah, the heavy blocks, you know, they're all right. They're just they're one of those things that, you know, they're in more or less every house building site. You know, there's some heavy work to be done, and, you know, a lot of footings are built out of them. So, you know, if you like footings, you've probably done plenty of heavies. Don't recommend trowel mates when using heavy blocks. Probably if you're doing them a lot, you probably get one. Can't hurt, but I find myself just picking the block up with a trowel. You know, either assisting it with one hand, or, you know, using two hands with a trowel trapped between me lifting the block with two hands. I've tried multiple ways of buttering them, but I find it's always easier to butter the block that's on the wall instead of actually picking the block up and buttering it manually. The main thing for getting quicker at these is just your bed joints. You know, your bed lay a good spread out. If it's wet mortar, don't put grooves in. If it's stiff like it was today, put grooves in. You know, it's you know, either or. And the biggest thing I've found in general, which is going to lead me into a segue for the topic of this video, is how to speed up, how to get faster, how to get up to speed, as, you know, a lot of people call it. And a lot of the time, it isn't actually from faster trowel skill that'll make you get through more work, or just being faster with your hands. It's just taking less movement, so being more efficient with every movement every move you make. Sounds like a song. Every move you make. Anyway, you know, when you oh, it's fucking cringy, but I'm keeping it again. I come out with this shit in my voiceovers, and I just got to keep it in. So every time I'm just visioning the police, that song. Anyway, so every time you make every move you make on site, you know, every move you make with a trowel in your hand, it's every movement you undertake to, you know, laying blocks, bricks, etc. Just make that movement count. So, you know, you haven't got to be quick, you haven't got to be super fit, you just got to be able to limit excess movement. So here, pick block up, you know, press block to the line, rub it to the line if you can, couple of taps, scrape, done. You know, try not to, you know, waste time in between. As you can see, from tapping that block down, I move my trowel right to the spread and then back, you know, ready for another block. You know, just limiting that time. You know, you ain't going to get over excessive with trying to, you know, get a flush face on your blocks, especially if it isn't face work. If it's to a couple of mil, you know, tap the front, you know, make sure the joint's somewhat flush, you know, and carry on. You know, this is the biggest thing. People will say, oh, you know, you're rough, I'm a perfectionist, etc. But, you know, you can only, you know, especially when working on price, no one has a business of being a perfectionist. You know, you can make a good job of things, but you ain't got to go OTT. You ain't got to stress yourself out, you know, trying to reach that millimetre precision. You just got to get it there or thereabouts. And a lot of the time for these modern sites is good enough. And, you know, even having that mentality of not trying to make everything dead perfect, even if you still, you know, undertake quality standards and, you know, still make your work neat, just having a relaxed mindset will allow you to get more done. That's why when I go on footings, I sort of have this, you know, I have to change my mindset to what I'm building, so that'll make a massive difference when coming to your speed. Also, you know, just carry on working. That's the biggest thing I can recommend. Don't stress too much over the time or how long something's took you to build. You know, a lot of time, just keep putting, you know, trowel to mortar to block, you know, etc. and you know, you'll get a lot done. This is the biggest thing. You ain't got to worry. Like, this gang next to me always has 2 snaps, and they always go for snaps at certain times, and you know, you ain't got to worry what anyone else is doing. I always have just one, and I go for it whenever I fancy, and that's how I've always worked for the last, you know, 3 or 4 years, and it works for me best. You know, I find I get more done. You know, I reduce the amount of food I eat. If I started having 2 snaps, I'd eat probably double the amount of food. Speaking of, you know, food and eating, you know, I'm down about 3 or 4 kilo this week, you know, with stopping drinking, and I'm definitely feeling the benefits, you know, especially at work, you know, having a clearer head all the time, you know, feeling fitter, you know. It's allowed me to get a lot more done this week. I've had one of my better weeks. It's getting close to probably my best week I've had. You know, I'm within 100 quid of my best week this week. And I've had a bit of a bitty week. You know, I've not had a solid big chunk of work to get my teeth stuck into either. So that just shows, even with whatever sort of work you're doing, if you've got a clearer head, more relaxed mentality, reduce your drinking, that's a big thing, you'll get a lot more done. Obviously, with the increased work hours I'm doing by getting to site about an hour and a half earlier, it does make a big difference. Obviously, you're getting more done. Like, I had about 60, well, in this clip, I completed this wall that I was doing. I completed this in this video. It was about a 36-minute, you know, video. The first 45 minutes I spent setting up my corners and getting all my gear. Obviously, apprentices were helping me a little bit as well. But, you know, by the time 8:45 rolled around, I'd already laid 60 blocks. So, and I had 3 of those, you know, 60s to do. That's your money right there. You know, what's 60 blocks worth? What, 60 times a pound is 60, and then it's, you know, say a block's 150 a block. I think that's the average going rate. We get 160, but say 150 a block, that's 90 quid. You've earned 90 quid before I'd have normally even turned up to site. So that £90, you know, basically pays your labourer's wage. And, you know, that's the biggest reason I did get a labourer, is because I thought, right, I'm gonna get to site a little bit earlier. You know, I'm gonna have sort of everything, you know, set out to where by 9 o'clock I've paid the labourer. You know, labourer's money's been made, and we can crack on and, you know, get a good day's wage in, you know, a hassle-free. And that's the biggest thing. You know, I am used to getting to site a bit later, so if we ever do lose time in a day, you know, I don't lose motivation or anything like that, but, you know, I get used to losing time in a sense. But now I'm getting there a little bit earlier. It's a little bit of a bonus if I get cracking early and get stuff done. It just makes my life a lot easier when it comes to covering wages, earning a good wage for the week. You know, if you're getting your tub on the scaffold at 7:30, which I'm finding now on this particular site, you know, forklift driver's on point. You know, he always has been, really. But, you know, obviously I've not been there early enough to reap the benefits of getting your motor at 7:30 and stuff like that. Whereas I used to be not laying my first brick till 9 o'clock or my first block. So, you know, it has massive merits, to be quite honest. You know, you get an extra hour and a half a day of laying blocks or laying bricks, whatever you're doing on that particular day. And it just makes everything a little bit easier. Obviously, when I'm on remedials, I'm still getting to work, you know, around 7:30, 8 o'clock, depending on what job I'm doing. I had some customer care work to do this week. I did it on Wednesday. I was doing some doing some pillar tops that I posted last video. I was doing them off a ladder. I posted a screenshot at the end of the last video, and I got them done pretty quick. Obviously, we're getting there early, and then I had some bricks to replace on a patching job, which I did pretty quick as well. So I was gonna film some of that, but I left my camera one of the days. But I'll probably end up doing some remedial videos. I just have to get things done a little bit quicker. But obviously, if you're on day work, you know, and you get all your day work jobs done for like 12 o'clock, they'll expect you to do more and more. So obviously that's why I've been hesitant of uploading stuff like that, because it just fucking increases my workload for whatever jobs I have to do. And a lot of the time, you know, if you know your employer or whoever watches your video, or the whoever watches, sorry, if your employer, whoever's setting you on a task, and you know you're paying your day work, and they realise you start getting loads and loads done, you know, you're just going to up your workload. So in a day, they want you're doing double of what you used to be able to do just because you're quick. So yeah, the only way you can get around that is upping your rate. So saying, right, instead of 200 a day, I want now 225 or 250. And you know, if you get to the point where you get that fast, you know, is beneficial. But you know, I'll probably just whatever jobs I do remedial that I record, I'll just sort of limit them to, you know, stuff that is actually useful to get quicker at, and not just stuff that's a ball ache. So yeah, that's the only reason I haven't really been uploading remedial footage, because it is boring work a lot of the time, and it's not always the best for recording. So yeah, and obviously if you're on day work, you know, you're supposed to be working, not recording in a sense. That's the only reason I record when I'm on price, because it's totally, you know, it's to my discretion how much I do. And obviously you see on these videos, I always, you know, lay more when I'm on price and earn a lot more when I'm on price than if I do day work. So I know it shouldn't matter either way, but I suppose that's why I don't do it. But I will start doing a bit of stuff like how to replace a brick, you know, properly, and how to make replacing bricks easier. A lot of the time, because it is like, you know, some of the remedial stuff is, you know, not technically to fucking super NHBC standards, or it's not always proper, you know. In something you want to record, it can make the house builder you're working for, whoever it is, it can make them look bad if you're bodging something on camera, which is sometimes asked of me. You know, I have had to just make things right, in a sense. That's what the common word I've heard used. Just make it right, make it look right. And a lot of the time, it isn't worth recording stuff like that. It's just fucking, it isn't proper, you know. I wouldn't want to showcase me fucking bodging shit on camera. But if anyone's interested, I will make an odd video on like replacing brakes, or easy ways to, you know, cut things down, or, you know, stuff that is like proper, you know, is proper remedial work, not bodging. So that's a lot of the time what I get asked to do, because I'm quick at doing this remedial shit. If there's like a load of jobs that need bodging up quick, you know, they just say, oh, Harry, will you just come and fix this? And it's like, oh, okay. So yeah, that's sort of why I don't record that stuff. But yeah, I've got labourers back on Monday. We've confirmed again, we're on a different site this time, so hopefully he'll get hopefully he's already inducted on one Red Rose site. I don't know why you have to get him. I suppose you have to get inducted to every different site, but he'll have to get inducted in the morning. He starts at 8 o'clock. I say 8 o'clock, I didn't ask him to get there any earlier, just because sometimes we're not getting mortar till 8, so, you know, it could be loaded out in front, I suppose, but a lot of the times as well, I can't always get up on time, and 8 o'clock is like the latest I'll get to site. So if he's at least there for 8, I can get setting profiles up in the morning, and as soon as he arrives, because he is only labouring on me, there isn't really much sort of anything that he needs to be doing until I'm laying bricks or blocks. So a lot of the time, you know, if you are working with, you know, multiple bricklayers as a labourer, you want to be getting there earlier so you can load out in front. But when there's just one bricklayer, it only takes a lot of the time 1 or 2 boards of gobbo filled with gobbo for me, you know, when they get there, and then they can start loading up. Even if there's no gear there, you know, they can start loading up. As long as I've got 1 stack of bricks, I can either start building the corner, or I can, you know, start running into a profile, and they can just keep stacking the bricks up as I'm using them. And if they're fast enough, they'll get in front and be ready for the next day. So that's sort of why I'm not intentionally, you know, making them get there early to get in front, because they should theoretically be able to get in front with just me laying. You know, it's not that hard to load out for one bricklayer. You know, I loaded out 500 bricks in about half an hour the other day, and, you know, any bricklayer, you know, can't lay 500 bricks in half an hour. You know, the most they'll be laying is 100 an hour. So as long as you can fill mortar boards up and get them enough bricks, you should easily be able to get in front with at least 1,000 bricks out in the first, you know, before morning snap. And then you know, in the afternoon, you know, you should be just getting mortar or getting stuff set up for the next day. So it's not hard. So that's why I'm not making it super easy for the labourers straight off the bat. I'm just going everywhere. We're flat starting everywhere. You know, as soon as, you know, I'm doing the mortar still, but as soon as the, you know, as soon as I arrive, as soon as the mortar arrives, I start, you know, laying bricks, and you know, they just have to keep up really then, and it's not hard, you know what I mean. I'm paying pretty, you know, top money really for a labourer, especially with no experience on one bricklayer, so I expect them to just do all the lifting and all the legwork really, and then I can just lay. So that's all I expect to be doing next week, is just turning up, you know, setting some profiles up, you know, moving my mortarboard stands to where I want them. That's the only thing I'm going to be doing. Moving my mortarboard stands, maybe showing them how to set out stacks of bricks, because you didn't really get a chance to do that since we were lifting onto a scaffold on the last day he worked. So I'll probably set out a few stacks for him, you know, lift up literally about 5 or 6 clumps of bricks, put them where I want them, and then he'll learn then, you know, that's how they go, etc, etc. And yeah, that's basically it. That's basically all I'll be doing. This leads me into my next topic. So I've done obviously reducing your movements to increase speed, you know, being more efficient, working, just carrying on working. That's a big thing. People just don't think about it. Just carry on working. Don't stand chatting. If you're gonna talk while you're laying. That's one thing you see me doing on these videos. I'm not silent. I'm not fucking living for it when I'm laying these blocks. A lot of the time I'm talking to people when I'm laying. When I was building the pillar in the pillar building video quite a few days ago now, I was chatting to a machine driver the whole time, but you couldn't tell I was doing that because I had the audio off, and you could see my speed wasn't affected or anything by talking, unless I start like procrastinating with my hands. You know, you've got to learn if you've got to talk, you know, learn to talk and work. It's pretty easy to do. And learn to just be efficient, you know, be relaxed. That's the biggest thing. A lot of guys, when they're on price, they're like, whoa, we're going to make it pay. We're going to get this in, we're going to get this done. And they start getting a bit erratic, and you start losing efficiency then, you know, you start making little mistakes. As well, another little tip for these blocks, use a brickmate on them, you know. If you know your 450 times table, you know, do that. But I used a brickmate tape on these. It took me like 2 or 3 minutes to set out. You know, I did my corner at one end, and then I brickmated it to the other end. Made it work exactly gauge with the blocks. As you can see at the blocks, you know, on the first course, the blocks below were all over, and whoever built the party wall before hadn't obviously gauged it out. And the reason why you gauge it out is because that extra 2 or 3 minutes it takes to extend the tape measure, you know, set your block to gauge, you know, you'll instantly be making that time back when you slide your last full block in, because as soon as you've got to make a cut, then you're just losing time. It takes to make a cut minimum a minute, sometimes 2 minutes if it doesn't cut perfectly or you snap a block. So unless you've got like some high-tech block splitter that are dear as fuck, to be honest, have you ever looked how much they are? Those block splitters are really expensive. But, you know, you want to be making sure everything works bond, everything works blocks, and you know, it speeds you up in the long run. You know, if every course you've got to take 20 mil off a block or 40 mil off a block because you've not made it sure it works blocks, you could be losing, say, by the time you make the cut, 3 or 4 minutes a course, maybe even 5 minutes a course. And then, you know, say you're doing 10 or 20 courses throughout a day, those 3 or 4 minutes times 20, they can add up to like an hour of cutting blocks, and you know, you could be laying blocks for that hour instead. So you know the importance of gauging out your block work is so important. It's something that I've always done now. I always, you know, if my brickmate dies, I get another one. Cats, come on, man. Come on. I know. Come here, Mikes. Come here, Mikey. Come here. Yeah. Right, I stroke him so I can carry on the video. So yeah, it's so important. You know, it's going to save you tons of time. That's what it comes back to, making your movements count on site. You aren't going to be the fastest, You know, you haven't got to be the most gifted of bricklayers, but if you're really efficient with your time, you'll suddenly start getting loads done. And like this was a good instance. You know, I like to do this for anecdotal evidence. I was working next to two of the bricklayers they were on the other pair of houses. I was watching how much they got done, and I was looking at what I got done myself. And I wasn't any quicker than them, to be honest. They were probably at the same speed as I was, but just because I was using sort of slightly more efficient movements, you know, spending less time. I didn't stop and talk like a lot of people tend to do. You know, I just carried on working, just plodding away at a somewhat plodding pace, as I've even self-admitted that I do. I got more done in the time I was there because of just those factors. I was working all the time. I was just taking, you know, I was going probably slightly steadier in speed wise, but I was able to go for longer, more consistent, more repeatable, and that's the only reason why I'm getting more done. It isn't because I'm some super speed. I'm just being really efficient and I really pace myself when working. I treat my work as a bit of a marathon instead of a sprint. A lot of bricklayers treat price work as a sprint, and it's definitely got to be treated as a marathon if you want consistent increased speed, consistent increased production. You've got to take a marathon mentality to it, because that's what's going to allow you to earn more over, you know, a consistent week to week basis. You know, is the marathon mentality when it comes to, you know, price work and just working the pace you work at in general. And you'll not realise that your speed's increasing, but you know, the more efficient you are with your movements, the more efficient you are with everything you do, you'll soon see how much you're doing compared to people around you who are rushing the tits off, in a sense. So yeah. Just before the video ends, I'm coming up to the last course. Now I'm putting the common on this course, and the next clip is me jointing it up afterwards. I just want to talk a little bit about profiles. I was building a squint panel on Friday, and in hindsight I could have probably used profiles while building it instead of building little corners. I had all my cuts done from the previous day. I had everything sorted, so I was just thinking about, if you're ever putting a wall in between two pillars, if for any reason you're building them independently, or for any reason that you know the style of wall requires you to build the pillars independent and then fill in the bricks in the middle. If they have got a 4-inch over 4-inch, you know, if they're an 18-inch pillar, you know, 4-inch at each side with a 9-inch wall in between, you know, you want to try clamp some timber to your internal, and then like use your you know, pin into the you know, knock it into the timber following your joints as gauge. That's a really good way I've seen someone do the boundary wall, and it just speeds things up, especially on short runs. Short runs are ideal for this. You know, get 2 lots of timber at each end of your wall. You know, plumb it up, touch pin at the bottom, F clamp at the top, or if you've got like your drill with you, drill out your joints so you can like hook an F clamp round, or a bigger F clamp is really ideal if you can get like a 600 F clamp, like a 600 by 100 mil or 600 by like 150, and really clamp that timber round so you know you've got 50 mil of the timber clamped, or you know 100 mil of the timber clamped all the way around the pillar. That's really ideal. So I'm going to try do that in the coming weeks. Try increase my speed on these walls, because it seems at the moment I'm just getting walls one after another, and the great earners, don't get me wrong. So, but a lot of the time, you know, I'll see how the new labourer increases my speed, because you know, from the day that I did work with him, I definitely saw a difference. So, you know, if I start getting through enough work, they might bung me on a plot, because when me and labourer get going, I can easily see me being faster than these other 2 brickies that are on our job. You know, so if I get bunged on a plot at some point, I'll be able to show a few more different methods, but at the moment I'm trying and make these boundary walls as efficient as I can, so using more profiles, building them quicker. I've got a big wall that I built myself, a big boundary wall that I did it in piecemeal. I did like 1 panel at a time spread over different days, but that's finally up to scaffold height now. So I've got that to top off next week. So I've got a couple of days on my big wall left that I started the other day, and then I'm topping a wall for the rest of the week. But I reckon it shouldn't take me much longer than 3 days with some of the new methods I'm going to try out when doing the tiles brick on edge. I'm still going to be laying tiles normally with a with the level, but because the wall is a wall I built myself, every panel is level, so I ain't got to sweat it about making, trying to pick up my bed joints and stuff like that with the tiles and stuff which I normally have to do when topping other people's walls off. So hopefully everything's going to go a little bit easier. And I've put a pencil mark on the scaffold when I finished it on Friday. I put a pencil mark on the wall all the way around the walls to show the scaffolders where I want the scaffold height. Hopefully the they respect my request, but they might not do. So in that case, I'll have them altering it, because I'm not doing it again where I have to stand on a milk crate like I did the other day. It just kills your time, kills your money. So they'll be altering the scaffold if it isn't to a doable height. If it isn't at a sensible height, they'll be altering it, because I'll not be doing it. So yeah, that's the top and bottom of it. So hopefully that's not going to be an issue, and I can get a little bit of some better footage, because the footage I got the other day, last video of me doing the boundary wall, topping it off, it's disgusting really, because I was reaching over my head doing the brick on edge. I was fucking stood on a fucking milk crate where I should be just stood on the scaffold, and I was going at about half the pace that I normally could be doing them at, and double the difficulty. So yeah, hopefully I'll get some more accurate methods for when I'm doing the brick on edge, and I'll try increase my efficiency with it, and increased methods of trying to fill me perp joints, so pointing up the brick on edge won't be such an issue as it was last video, where I was just struggling to perp the brick because I was stood on a milk crate and up in the air on an awkward scaffold. So yeah, that's one thing. If they're not going to be scaffolding it more than 2 battens wide, I'll not be doing it either. They'll be altering that, because I'm not having a fucking tiny scaffold either for doing all this. It's fucking ridiculous. It shouldn't be allowed. I'd rather just build it off a trestle. I'd rather get my trestles out from home and build it myself from my own trestles. So yeah, that's it. That's the video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. Next video is going to be me on a boundary wall. That's what I was sort of talking about, where I could have been using profiles when I wasn't. So I'll probably talk a bit more about that in that video. I'm doing that many walls now and topping that many walls off that I need the scaffold just how I want it, because it's just fucking absolutely murders your fucking money doing these tile brick on edge when you've got an awkward setup. And the amount of tiles and brick on edge I've done now, it's fucking, it's easily noticeable. So that's another big thing, another little tip. Communicate with the site, communicate with the scaffolders. This is where a lot of times watching Changi's videos, he's very he's seasoned in the sense where he'll not take any shit if something ain't right for him. He gets it altered, and at the end of the day, that's what you got to do. You can't just bend over and fucking work to the will of whoever fucking the scaffold heights of however they want to put it. They've got to do it to how you want to fucking work. So props to Changi for doing that. It is what needs to be done on a lot of sites. You know what I mean? A lot of sites, they do make it difficult for you, and they do make it so you can't earn any fucking money. So you've got to make it as easy as possible for yourself. So yeah. I was going to put some music on, but I just can't be bothered to. I think I'll just carry on waffling on. I do brush my blockwork off, actually. I've got a stiff brush I normally brush my blockwork off with after I've jointed it. Don't top and tail blockwork unless it's seen. And the only reason I brush my blocks off is because it sometimes fills any joints that I've missed. It flushes them up, or creates the creates the illusion of them being jointed if I miss any. So that's a really big reason why I brush my blocks off. And yeah, that's it guys. I am absolutely knackered. I'm gonna play some Dark Souls 3. I bought that the other last night. I'm gonna play that. Lad at work recommended it to me, and I've never really played Dark Souls games before, but I've heard they're really hard, so I'm gonna try that out. So at some point in the future, if I can start live streaming, I might start live streaming some gaming stuff at the weekends. If anyone wants to watch me play any gaming any games, do a bit of game streaming at some point. I don't know if I will, but a bit in the sense where Tricky Bricky does his Tricky Bricky experience. I won't be playing music and shit. I'll just be playing games and sort of talking over them live and stuff like that. So I might do some question and answer stuff if anyone's got any questions. So I get a lot of the same questions in the videos about, you know, what trowel do I use, etc, etc. I've replied to everyone, but if for anyone wanting to know the trowel I'm using, it's Tyzac broad heel 10-inch soft feel handle. They're about 25 quid online, so I got mine from eBay. I bought another one the other day, it arrived today, £28, and they're dead underrated. You know, they're not expensive like the W Rose ones either, and I think they're just as good personally. Alright guys, thanks so very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, I'll reiterate again, hit the like button, you know, subscribe, leave us a comment, let us know what you enjoyed, and I'll continue making bi-daily videos every other day. So have a good weekend guys, and I will see you in the next video.